Okay, so New Orleans Saints draft review, they did what not many other people would have done. In fact, I think that they're the only team that would have drafted this way. But you know what? There's some real logic behind it. So let's talk about really the biggest one was in the first round getting Peyton Turner, a guy who a lot of people did not have going in the first round, but some people did. I know Brett Coleman was huge on Peyton Turner, so I tried to watch a little bit of it. I didn't have time to really get into the film study. I watched some highlights. He has some very good highlights, and I kind of understand some of the some of the real intrigue with him. He's 6'5", 270 pounds. So he's a huge edge guy. He can play that defensive end. And I think what a lot of what the Saints like to do is they want to have guys who can stop the run and also play two safeties deep. So he fits that scheme well of just like being this big physical defensive end. And, they thought that Marcus Davenport could be that guy. Davenport's not bad. Davenport's actually pretty good. So I'm a little bit surprised that they went out and are continuing to get defensive end. It's not necessarily their biggest position of need, but they wanted to get a defensive end. And now they have three guys. So obviously Cam Jordan being the other one. So they don't need any fix there. Maybe he can play on the inside too, which that might be some of the logic is just getting another guy. They did lose Trey Hendrickson, but I'm not sure if they needed to replace that desperately. However, again, if you like the player and think he's going to be really good, then it's worth spending a 28th overall pick on. So I'm not going to hate on it too much. I totally see the logic in it. And the reality is I still need to watch more tape on him. A highlight reel isn't enough to really evaluate the guy. So we'll see. I feel like New Orleans thought that they had a superstar in Davenport. Instead, they got a good player. So I think they like to have three good edge rushers, and that might be why they're doing this. So I get it. They then went out and got a big linebacker in Pete Warner, who, I mean, he's not huge, but pretty big. I mean, 6'2", 238 pounds, and 40 time, pretty good, 4.59, which, probably closer to 4.7 than 4.6, given that it was a pro day time. But still, that's pretty good. You'll take that. So, good big linebacker. They clearly want some size. Like I said, they want to be able to stop the run with just six guys. They want to just have four defensive linemen, two linebackers, and still be able to stop the run so they can keep two safeties deep. They don't want to have to bring another guy in. So that way they can have that second safety deep. And it had some real wonders for them last year. So I understand the logic. They then drafted Paulson Adibo, who is interesting to me. I actually think he's a little bit underrated. I think third round feels like he's gotten slept on a little bit. I think maybe second round would have felt a little bit better. He has really good ball skills, a really good vision, which is definitely, I think, two things that the Saints tend to value. He has had a tendency to get beat by double moves. He doesn't have the best hips. And on top of this, he runs a 4.42 at his pro day, which is probably right around 4.5. I think he'll be fast enough to play in the NFL. I wouldn't like him in a cover one scheme. But again, the Saints, they like to play two safeties deep. That's a real benefit to Adibo. And I think that he can be someone who would fit that team a lot better. So there's issues with the player, but I don't think there's really too much issues with the fit. So that way I kind of like it. And, the issues he does have probably won't come into effect. So probably actually a bit of a steal in round 3. They also go out in round 4 and get Ian Book, which is interesting. And who knows? I think a lot of people keep saying like, oh, well, there's no way he'll compete for a starting job. Well, I mean, when your quarterbacks are Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill, there's a greater than zero chance. If he got drafted by a different team, there's probably a much lower chance than what happens with, with the Saints. I think it's probably not going to start. I think it will be. It seems like it's going to be Jameis Winston, although I wouldn't be shocked if it ends up being Taysom Hill either. But I do find it pretty interesting. I think that Ian Book, he's not a guy I'm crazy about. He's not the biggest guy. He throws off balance a lot. I've compared him to a Drew Lock type, which, Drew Lock went into second, Book's going into fourth, so maybe some value, but I just don't see him ever being like a starting level quarterback. But some people really like him, so I don't know. I think there's a couple better quarterbacks on the board, but at the same time, if they like him, so be it. I don't think any quarterback left is really going to be a superstar, so could be wrong. Take a flyer on someone. I get it. In round 6, they get Landon Young, who is, very tall tackle, 6'6", 310 pounds. The Saints know how to evaluate offensive linemen, so I trust them that if they think this guy can be at least a good backup, so be it. It's going going to be hard to imagine him being a starting tackle given who he would have to, the place he would have to take to do so. But again, getting some depth in there can never hurt you because the offensive line position is violent and it's physical and guys get hurt. So having an extra guy in the room, understand. And then Kawan Baker as a wide receiver in the seventh, he's interesting because I think a lot of people thought they might go wide receiver earlier. Some people were saying they should go wide receiver in round one. They wait all the way to round 7 to get a receiver. It's just another guy in the room. They could really use a number 2 or 3 receiver because right now you're really relying on Michael Thomas, who you can rely on him. He's great, but it would be nice if they had sort of some other guys, I think. So, makes sense getting another guy in the room. Could have argued they should have gotten one earlier, but for this pick itself, I see the logic in. So it's interesting. The Saints, it seems like a lot of what they did was they're saying, hey, our offense doesn't have to be great. We can make a great defense, and we just trust that Sean Payton can scheme some stuff up. Their defense is going to be good, and I think that they could actually surprise some people. I hate to say, because I'm a Buccaneers fan if you're new here, so it's not the best, but it was a good draft. I think they got a lot of talented players, and they seem like they're not rebuilding, they're reloading. And if this is what they want to do, makes sense to me. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.